So with that down, I'm ready to get into explaining kind of how this film unfolds. And the film I'm referring to again is The Woman in the Yard. Um, and really want to dig into how it plays out. And kind of just let some of the theories and feelings I had about the film really out on the table. And I need to be able to get into some spoilers in order to do that. Okay. For starters, the woman. Oh, by the way, this is absolutely a spoiler discussion. Like everything I say from here on out is spoiler riddled. If you're not with it, of course, the timestamps are going to be in the video. I'm going to let you know, I am spoiling this film. But giving you the opportunity to just, come back later in the video or whatever the case may be, and then check it out from there. But before we get into it, like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know how you feel. I definitely need those likes for the algorithm. I appreciate you. And yeah, let's get into this. The Woman in the Yard um is the embodiment of suicide. Ramona is very depressed, and she's been contemplating uh unaliving herself, and I'm saying this for YouTube, unaliving herself for what it appears to be some time. And she finally has the courage, I guess, or the courage within herself to do it while she's driving in the truck with her husband. And that's when the woman in the yard first appears inside the truck with them. And it looks like it may have been intentional that she wanted to unalive herself, and she had the accident, but her husband uh, died instead. So moving on from there, there is a sense of guilt here. And that's what I initially thought the woman in the yard represented. But no, again, it's her wanting to unalive herself. And the representation of the woman in the yard, like as the film goes on, she gets closer and closer to the house. And as she gets closer and closer to the house, you see that Ramona knows what's up. She kind of knows why Ramona is there. And I'm not Ramona, why the woman in the yard is there. And she won't share with her children what it is that's going on. Um, and then different aspects start to disappear. The chickens die that they have in the house first. The dog is presumably dead. Like they don't show it or anything like that, which I appreciate. But he just disappears. And again, it's like things are slowly being pulled away as the woman in the yard is approaching. Eventually, she makes it into the house. There's this like big conflict that takes place in the attic, and it's very mysterious how it plays out. It looks like the woman in the yard is grabbing her smallest child, and then you see Ramona holding the child at the end. It's a lot of psychological stuff that happens throughout, and ultimately, you find out that Ramona and the woman in the yard are one and the same. They do like something really trippy where Ramona is the woman in the yard and she's talking to herself from the beginning of the movie when they first met. That part kind of plays out okay, but it's still very cute. It's very vague how it tries to play out, and it's left up to interpretation. And it kind of feels like the director and the writer didn't really have an ending planned out for this film. In the end, Ramona does elect to unalive herself, and the film ends with her and her family, as well as the dog, reuniting at a finished version of this fixer upper that they have. And now I just want to get into my theories and my feelings on this. So, again, uh, it's not explicitly said who is actually alive. Like it's shown to you for sure that Ramona is gone, but The first theory that I have here, just based on everything that I see, is that Ramona not only unalived herself, but she also unalived both of her children as well as the dog and the chickens. There's a point in the film where we see that the son, I believe he was asleep, and when he wakes up, he turns and he sees Ramona pulling a knife out of his sister's bag. And then Ramona wakes up from a nap or whatever. And, then the woman in the yard continues to terrorize him. We also see in the attic, there's a moment where Ramona looks like she's trapped as a shadow. And the woman in the yard is approaching the daughter, and the daughter kind of, allows her to come, and they hug each other. And it appears that the woman in the yard kills the daughter. Then the daughter is shown alive again later in the film. And the ending has Ramona send her children away to the neighbors so they can call 911. And Ramona goes into the shed, and that's where she uses a rifle to unalive herself. And at the end of the film, the kids return, the dog is alive, and again they go into their finished house. So this suggests to me that over the course of the film, Ramona was um, unaliving members of her family. And when she finally decided to do it herself, the end of the film is the afterlife. Like they're all reunited, and you get a somewhat happy feeling, and she's finally at peace with her mental health on the other side. So that's one theory. My second theory is that the film, all the events take place within Ramona's mind. That Ramona has already, I'm not even going to say she's already unalived herself or anything like that. For all I know, she can be in a asylum or something of that nature. But her mind is unraveling because of her innermost thoughts, and like she's still dealing with the grief of the husband. Um, and she's slowly like slipping away into a compromised mental state. And the reason why I say that this could all be taking place in her head is there is a moment where the woman in the yard and Ramona are talking about, making the decision to commit suicide. And Ramona asked the woman in the yard, "What about my children?" And the woman in the yard shows their lives and how their lives play out where Ramona is gone, and you see them as adults. The little girl, she graduates. I believe the boy. There's picture of him as an adult, looks like a veterinarian, and their lives play out okay. I feel like that maybe she's aware of all of that uh, in her mind. However, she's just stuck within her own psyche, and none of the events of the movie played out. I believe the home is where she may have had a psychotic break, and she was just taken to an asylum or a mental health hospital or whatever the case may be. In her mind, this is where the battle to want to commit suicide is taking place. Now, is that the most far-fetched theory of the ones I have? Maybe so, but that's kind of ultimately where I landed at with my second theory. My third and final theory, is kind of a mixture of both. It's that Ramona does go through with committing suicide, that her children were actually there, and the dog and everything. That she did still kill the chickens and the dog, but everything that you saw anytime the children were in peril, that was completely in her mind, and that was her battling, protecting them while also succumbing to her suicidal thoughts. And so ultimately, the part where she sends her kids away to go get help, that does happen. And then she She unalives herself. And the part afterwards where she is rejoined by her children and her dog, that's her in the afterlife. And we roll the credits from there. And so somewhere out there, those kids came back and their mother had actually unalived herself or whatever. What's interesting is in that ending, the husband is not there at all. It's insinuated that she no longer wanted to be married to him, um, and that his death may have been the freedom that she needed to carry out unaliving herself. And I thought that was very interesting, and it just went unexplored ultimately. But the vagueness of the ending of this film lends itself to why it's disappointing, because even when you're being purposely vague, there's a artsy, not an artsy, but a more artistic way of doing that while also not leaving your audience hanging, which I feel like they did. But of these theories, are there any that you agree with? Do you have your own theories? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate everything. Thank you. With that being said, let's move on to the next.
U-GeekTV.